Maseches Brachos Naf Mem Daled. The Mishnah says the halacha that kol shu ikar v'imei tefela mevorech ale ikar upoites at tefela. If someone's eating an ikar, he wants to eat something meliach, a salty food, and he wants to eat bread with it, the bracha on the meliach patters the bread. There's a big machlokes haposkim brought in the Beis Yosef over here. The Beis Yosef brings a Trumas Hadeshen or a Zerua that say what happens if someone wants to eat a ikar and a tafel. Let's say he wants to take a drink, a coffee, and he wants to eat something along with it, and he wants to eat the tafel before drinking the coffee. So the Trumas Hadeshen or Zerua say on the davar that you're eating, you have to make a shakel niya b'dvaroi, not the regular bracha that you would ordinarily make on this item. You have to make a shakel niya b'dvaroi. And he explains, although be'etzem it's an ikar and a tafel, and you should be totally potter for making a bracha, but since also the adam lehenles ve'lemazel v'loy bracha, how could you misakin that iser also lehenles mafreya when afterwards you go and take a drink, which is the ikar? On that, the Beis Yosef says that according to the Shita of the Rosh, that's quoted in the Siman Reish Yud, that when you have an item that's less than a shear, to make a bracha rishona, it doesn't change into a shahakal niya b'dvarei. So the same thing over here, when you have a tafel, the tafel won't change into a shahakal niya b'dvarei. On that, the Darkei Moshe writes that no, he says it's different, because over there, when you have an item that's less than a shear, over there you're having an ordinary hana. Since you're having ordinary hana, it happens to be you don't have enough of a shear. But since it is the regular hana from this peri, you make a bay priyates, a bay priyadama. However, over here, since you're not eating the tafel because you want the tafel, you're eating the tafel because that's way you could be able to drink your ikar. Let's say if you're having a coffee and you have some mezainis with the coffee. So the mezainis is just taking the mezainis in order to drink your coffee. So therefore, it's not mechayiv boim mezainis. It's only mechayiv shakol niye b'dvari. That's what Darkei Moshe says. The Taz says that no, that even with something less than a shear, you're not having the regular hana from it. So therefore, you make a shakol niye b'dvari. So it's the same thing as a tafel. In the Sefer Shuri Ashel L'Shleima explains beautifully this opinion of the Trumas Hadeshen and the Ozerua, why you should make a shakal niya b'dvarei. He says, "Be'etzem it's a pelat suma monavshach." If the halacha ikar v'tafel paters the tafel, which he says that says the Tavur and the Trumas Hadeshen, that's not that the pshat that the tafel doesn't need the bracha, like we spoke out. It's the halacha is that the bracha on the ikar is chal on the tafel as well. So if it's chal on the tafel and tafel doesn't need its own bracha, so why should it need shakal niya b'dvarei? And then he explains like this. He says that we spoke out in Daf Lamed Hey, there's a big chakira, what the get of Birchas Hanenin is Birchas Hanenin a choivas bracha, or it's also Hanenin bracha. So he says it's two separate halachas, is more like the Emet bracha like that. There's two independent halachas. One halacha is also Adam Hanenin bracha, and another halacha is a choivas bracha. He says that we find chilik brachas between different minim, shakol, ha'etz, hadama, is only on the chayvas bracha, the chayvas ha'do. We have to thank Hashem for food. So if that is differences, there's levels on different foods. However, with sad halacha of osla adam bracha, it doesn't make a difference what the food is. It doesn't make a difference. Eitz, hadama, shakol, everything's the same. So therefore, he says that legabe ikar and a tafel, since you only want the ikar, not the tafel, like the Darkei Moshe explains, so you're not coming to have enough from the tafel. So therefore, what's only left is bracha, because you're taking the tafel prior to eating the ikar. Since it's only left is that halacha, and on the bracha, there's no difference between the different minim. So therefore, it's hadadina that the shakal niya b'dvar you could be yotza. We can explain a little different that mitzad choivas bracha over there the bracha on the ikar patters the tafel, and what's only left is that kol kama you didn't eat the ikar, so that's also bracha. You can't eat without a bracha. So on that issa there's no difference between the various macholim, and the halach is you make a shakal niye b'dvarei. Mar says that you don't make a bracha achroina on reach. After you smell, you don't make a bracha achroina. Only on food you make a bracha achroina, not on reach. There's two pshatim in the Mefarshim. Why don't you make a bracha achroina on it? Rashi says in Ida it's only a small hana. You don't make. They weren't masakin a bracha on it. However, the Kolboy and the Taz say that the reason you don't make a bracha achroina on reach is because it's considered it was digested. There's nothing kayam in your body from the food, so on that you don't make a bracha achroina. So the Chaznish writes that you see from this Kolboy a raya what the gather of the bracha achroina is. The Chaznish over here there has a isoidistic discussion on what the gather of berachas hamazon is, that it's totally in achis achal hamazon shebmeyav. So he declares that we find that you make a berachas hamazon achis achal hamazon shebmeyav. You could say in two ways. You could say that the bracha is for the fact that you were nourished, the fact that you have mazon b'meyav. Or no, the bracha is on the achila. On the achila, but kol zman, that's not in the achal hamazon shebmeyav, the achila is kayom, and that's why you can make a bracha later. He says even on the second side that the bracha is on the achila, and kol zman it wasn't this achel, the hanas kayom. You could declare, is it b'yisoida you have to make a bracha right away, like other brachas you have to be samuch l'davar she'inena mimenu, or no? The Ikar dina is to make a bracha kol zman she'is achel hamazon shebmeyav. And he says the chayru you have a raya from the fact that by the mon they benched. How can you bench on the mon? It was the achel hamazon shebmeyav. So al you see that right after you eat, you could bench. And that's the Ikar choivas berachas hamazon right afterwards. And even though it's achal hamazon shebmeyav, since right afterwards you bench, you could make a bracha. It just doesnn't have the ma'ila of achal hamazon shebmeyav to be able to make a bracha later. But he asked from the Kolboy, the fact that Kolboy is saying that by reach it's impossible to make a bracha afterwards, if you can make a bracha right afterwards, like it's mvur by mon shebemidbar, so then l'chayra it's tzarchi and you should be able to make a bracha right away. But Yashiv writes that no, that the fact that they made a bracha on mon b'midbar was not the regular din berachas hamazon. It was a special, independent chayves berachas hamazon that Moshe Rabbeinu was masakin in the midbar, and has nothing to do with the regular guidelines of a regular berachas hamazon. The Chaznish at the end writes that he holds that the berachas hamazon is not because the mechayev berachas hamazon is not the actual zon. It's because of the ma'isa achila. Therefore, he says a cotton that was nisgadal and he ate before he became a mitzvah, he doesn't have to make a berachas hamazon. And a goyshin is gayer, a goy that eat and afterwards he was nisgayer, he's not mechuyev in berachas hamazon because the ma'isa achila was when he was not a bar chiyuva.